I watched them walk down the aisle like nothing had happened, like they hadn't gutted me with a smile. My brother, Ethan, with his perfect golden boy grin. My ex, Lily, holding his hand like it had always belonged to her. They looked like a Pinterest board come to life. Champagne lighting, a flower arch, everything curated to perfection. But I couldn't stop the bile from rising as they passed me in the front row, eyes glossy, hearts hollow, because I knew the truth behind the pretty pictures, and soon so would everyone else. Ethan is 2 years younger than me, but somehow he's always been one step ahead. The athlete, the charmer, the one our parents adored without reservation. Meanwhile, I was the quiet one, the writer, the one who didn't pose well in family Christmas cards. We weren't enemies growing up, but we were never quite brothers either. More like reluctant co-stars in a show neither of us had auditioned for. Lily was the first person who saw me in full color. We met in college, creative writing seminar, cliché as hell, but she laughed at my dry jokes and read my stories like they were gospel. She made me feel like the main character, the one someone could love deeply, not just tolerate. We were together for nearly 4 years, lived in a cramped apartment with too many books and a cat we rescued together. I thought she was it, my forever. When we broke up, no one saw it coming. Not even me, really. One night she just said, "I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here anymore." I thought it was the stress. I thought maybe she'd come back after some space. But 2 weeks later, she blocked me on everything. Clean amputation. No scar tissue, just absence. I didn't see her again until Ethan brought her home for Thanksgiving. Imagine the kind of betrayal where your brain goes silent before your heart can even catch up. I stared across the table, trying to compute what I was looking at. She had her hand on his thigh. She wore my old sweatshirt. My mother said, "Isn't it just so cute how they met through you?" I spent the weekend in stunned silence, stuffing cranberry sauce into my mouth so I wouldn't scream. Ethan acted like it was nothing, like he hadn't dug through my past and stolen what was still sacred to me. And Lily? She didn't flinch. She smiled like she didn't remember our life together. They didn't even apologize. Not once. They just moved on. Without me. It was around that time I started writing again. Not fiction, truth. Journals, unsent letters, voice notes I couldn't bear to delete. I tried therapy, but no one really knew how to explain this kind of grief. Because it wasn't just heartbreak. It was erasure. A whole chapter of my life rewritten without consent. And now, they wanted me to toast to their new beginning. It started before the breakup. That's what I eventually realized. All those late nights Lily said she needed space to think, or was visiting her cousin in Philly. Turns out, she wasn't alone in those nights. Turns out, Ethan's gym bag had been spotted more than once in the lobby of her building. Turns out, I was the only idiot in the triangle who thought love meant loyalty. I found the emails months later, buried in an old shared Google Drive. I was looking for a short story draft, something innocent. Instead, I found a folder titled Writing Prompts, full of flirtatious little exchanges, inside jokes, compliments, plans. One of them said, "Don't worry, he'll never find out. He doesn't really see you anymore anyway." That line hit me like a sniper round to the chest. Because I did see her, I just didn't know how to compete with someone who stole light like Ethan did. I saw her on my worst days, and she still made me feel worth something. But apparently, seeing her wasn't enough. She wanted to be wanted by the one person I'd never been allowed to outshine. The night I confronted Lily, I didn't yell. I think I wanted her to deny it, to tell me I was being paranoid. But she just sat there, watching me like I was reciting a weather report. Then she said, "I didn't plan it. It just happened. Like cheating was a car accident. Like love just slipped and fell into someone else's lap." I asked her how long it had been going on. She said, "I don't know. Does it matter?" But it did. God, it did. Because every moment she had with me after that first betrayal was a lie painted like a memory. A forgery in our scrapbook. I didn't tell Ethan I knew. Not then. Because what would have been the point? He already had everything. The family's praise. The charm. Now he had Lily too. I just vanished quietly, like I was the mistake they'd cleaned up. Moved cities, changed numbers, became a ghost in my own story. But then the wedding invite arrived. Gold-foiled, handwritten, self-righteous in its elegance. With a note from Ethan, "It would mean the world if you came. Your family." The kind of tone that bleeds guilt but never quite says sorry. I held the card over a candle for 3 hours before deciding I'd go. Because if they wanted me there, I'd show up. If they wanted a toast, I'd raise my glass. And if they wanted closure, I'd give it to them. The kind that doesn't end with a bow. The kind that burns. The week leading up to the wedding, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her in my old t-shirt, laughing at his jokes instead of mine. I kept rehearsing my speech, then deleting it, then rewriting it again at 2 a.m. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew exactly what I wanted to say. And the question that haunted me was, would I be the villain for telling the truth? My parents were thrilled I was attending. They thought it meant I was finally moving on. My mom kept saying, "This is such a healing moment for our family." Like I was the one who needed to be forgiven. Like I was the one who lit the match, not the one standing in the ashes. I arrived alone. No plus one. Not because I didn't have anyone, but because no one else would understand. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a burial. And I wanted to be there, front and center, when they lowered the coffin on what was left of us. Every smile I gave that day felt like a cut in my cheek. Ethan greeted me like a politician, all charm and firm handshakes. He clapped me on the back and said, "Man, I'm so glad you came." Like we were teammates. Like this was a celebration of brotherhood. I looked him in the eye and said, "Wouldn't miss it." And I meant it, just not the way he thought. Lily hugged me. God, it was awkward. She smelled like the same vanilla perfume she wore in college, and for a moment, my throat closed up. She whispered, "Thank you for being here. It means more than you know." I pulled back before she could finish, nodded, and walked away. Because if I had stayed a second longer, I might have said what I really felt. They had me seated with the family, 2 seats down from the head table. Close enough to see the way her eyes flickered toward him during the vows. Close enough to hear the tremble in her voice when she promised forever. I wondered if she shook like that when she lied to me. I wondered if she even remembered the lies. During dinner, Ethan stood and tapped his glass. He said, "Before dessert, we'd love to invite my brother to say a few words." The crowd clapped. Lily smiled. My chest went hollow. It wasn't a surprise, he'd asked me days ago. But hearing it aloud made the moment real, and I suddenly knew what kind of speech this would be. I stood up, held my glass, and smiled. Not out of joy, out of a final, cold clarity. Because this wasn't just a wedding toast anymore. This was a reckoning, and they were about to hear every word they deserved. I tapped my glass once. The room quieted like it was holding its breath. All eyes were on me. The forgotten brother, the loyal guest, the surprise speaker. Ethan raised his glass, expecting praise. Lily smiled like she was bracing for sentimentality. I looked at both of them. Then I looked down at my notes, blank. I didn't need them. I never did. "I've known Lily for 8 years. I began, my voice steady but sharp. We met in college. She read every story I wrote, every journal entry, every line I scribbled at 3 a.m. A few guests chuckled politely, unsure of the tone. She was my muse, my partner, my best friend. Until she wasn't. The silence turned rigid. Someone dropped a fork. Ethan's smile faltered for half a second, barely noticeable. Lily's expression didn't change, but her hand tightened around her champagne flute. I continued, "You know how they say relationships end slowly, then all at once? For us, it ended with a lie. A beautiful, intricate lie woven between 2 people I trusted." Gasps rippled through the room like wind over water. "I won't go into every detail," I said. "Not because I can't, but because I want this moment to remain tasteful." Nervous laughter. A cousin shifted uncomfortably. My mother paled. "But let's just say this toast is less about love and more about compatibility." I raised my glass higher. "You two do deserve each other. In every way. Now they were both frozen. Ethan's face was a perfect storm of confusion and dread. You're both brilliant liars, passionate actors, masters of reinvention. I let my eyes land on Lily. You rewrote history like it was fiction. And you made sure I never got an ending. Then Ethan. And you? You didn't just take her. You took the one thing I had that wasn't yours. I paused for the last time. But I'm here now, watching you commit to each other publicly, just like you betrayed me privately. A woman somewhere near the back muttered, "Oh my God!" I drank from my glass, tasted like relief and fire. Then I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in a long time. "To the happy couple," I said, before placing the mic gently on the table. No dramatic drop, no storming off, just silence loud enough to split the sky. And I walked out, leaving behind gasps, stunned relatives, and a groom who couldn't look away. As the ballroom door closed behind me, I heard nothing but the echo of my own footsteps. No one followed. No one stopped me. And for once, that was exactly what I wanted. Let them sit in the wreckage. Let them toast to each other with truth still stuck in their throats. The speech was done, but the fallout was just beginning. I didn't go back inside. I didn't even wait for dessert. I drove to the edge of town, parked in a dark supermarket lot, and sat with the engine running. My hands were shaking, not from regret, but from adrenaline and release. It was like finally exhaling after years of holding my breath in a house full of gas. And I had struck the match with a smile. The text started within the hour. My mother's came first. "What the hell did you just do?" Then my father's, "You embarrassed us. This was not the time or place." Funny, isn't it? Not one message asked if I was okay. Not one person said, "You were right." Ethan didn't message. Of course not. But Lily did. A single sentence. "I didn't think you'd actually do it." That made me laugh. An ugly, hollow sound. Like she still believed I was the man she'd left behind, docile and quiet. Like she hadn't created the fire she was now choking on. The family group chat went silent for 3 days, then exploded into passive-aggressive chaos. My aunt called me vindictive. My cousin said I was brave but tactless. My sister, God bless her, just said, "About time someone told the truth." Even honesty fractures things. I heard through my sister that they cut the reception short. Guests left early. A few asked for refunds on gifts. Apparently, Lily cried in the bridal suite and Ethan punched a wall in the bathroom. Some said I ruined their perfect day. But no one mentioned how they'd already ruined mine years ago. Work was quiet, but a few friends reached out. Most said, "I can't believe you actually did it." Like I jumped off a building. One said, "That was cinematic as hell. You should write it." I didn't tell them I already had, dozens of times, but I never thought I'd get the final draft just right. There was no apology, no reckoning from Ethan, just a new photo posted a week later. Honeymoon on some island, drinks in hand, sun-kissed and smiling. Their captions were all peace and rebirth, and what a journey. Like I hadn't been part of it. Like they hadn't buried me to build that sandcastle. But fine, let them post. Let them pretend. Because while they were collecting likes, I was collecting silence. The kind that doesn't ache anymore. The kind that tastes like justice. Maybe I didn't look like a hero in their story, but I was never trying to. I just stopped playing dead. And the world looks different when you stand up in your own grief. It's been 4 months since the wedding. I still think about it every day. Not in a regretful way. More like poking a bruise to make sure it's still healing. Some mornings I replay the speech in my head. Not to change it, but to remember that I actually said it. For so long I was silent. Swallowed every feeling like broken glass. Now the words echo, and I don't flinch anymore. I moved to a new apartment. Smaller, quieter, with terrible water pressure but sunlight in the morning. The cat we rescued, Milo, stayed with me after the breakup. He still curls up beside me like nothing ever shattered. Sometimes I look at him and wonder if he remembers her too. Or if animals are smarter than us in knowing when to let go. Therapy's better now. Not because I'm fixed, God, no. but because I stopped pretending I was crazy for feeling betrayed. There's a certain peace in naming things. Saying my brother stole my partner out loud, and watching someone not try to rationalize it. Grief needs witnesses. I finally let myself be seen. Ethan and I haven't spoken since the wedding. Our parents are trying to keep things neutral, pretending the family is just taking space. They're hosting a barbecue in July and asked if I'd come, just to show no hard feelings. I didn't respond, because some fires you don't walk back into, you let them burn out on their own. Lily sent one more message 2 weeks ago. You hurt us, but I hope one day you'll understand why we did what we did. And that was it. No real apology. No accountability. Just polished guilt. I didn't reply. What would I even say? She already heard everything that mattered. In front of 87 witnesses and a catered shrimp tower. Sometimes I still miss who I thought she was. Not the woman she became, but the one who used to trace constellations on my back with her fingertips. The version of her that cried when I read her the ending of my first story. But that version died a long time ago, and I've finally stopped writing her into new chapters. People ask if I'd do it again, the toast. If I'd really choose public honesty over polite silence a second time. And the answer is, I don't know. Maybe. Probably. But I know this, I sleep better now. And in my dreams I speak. And this time they listen. There's no clean ending here. No perfect arc. Just a man with scars. A cat with old memories. And a blank page. But I'm writing again. Not about them. Not anymore. About truth. About reckoning. About survival. And somewhere in the margin, I've started becoming whole.